Well, hello, everybody. Welcome in once again to another Get to Know the Royals right here on the YouTube page for the Queen Sports Network. As always, I'm Mike Glennon, and today we have the pleasure of talking with Kyle Gramit, the assistant men's volleyball coach here at Queens, as he's about to head into his third season on the staff. And, Coach, thanks so much for taking some time and talking with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, just talked about this, you're going into your third season here. Let's talk a little bit about this past season as a bit of an odd one, I know, but at the same time, you guys saw a lot of success, especially over the latter part of the season. So can you talk a little bit about the team this year and kind of what you saw and how impressed you were?
Yeah, I think from the pandemic and everything we had to go through compared to some of the teams in our conference and our region, we did really well, exceeded expectations. All other teams around us were able to have a fall season / at least able to practice with 3 to 5 guys at a time, where Queens, no kids were on campus, so we couldn't do anything with them until January 1st. It was our first official practice, first time our guys saw each other. So, and then to play 14 days later, that's a lot of practice and a lot of get people ready, especially the freshmen.
Yeah.
And play right away. It was hard. So those first few weeks and month or so was just sort of our preseason and training for the guys and just getting used to everyone. So once that happened, we had that team bond and that common goal. We were able to, I think we had like a 5-match, 6-match winning streak in the middle of the way of the season.
Yeah.
Beat some good teams, some teams that we haven't beat before.
Yeah. And even some teams that had beaten you earlier on in the season as well.
Exactly, yeah. We finally beat another EIVA team in St. Francis at the beginning of the year. First time last year we beat an EIVA team of Charleston. So we're slowly making progress. We got some great recruits and some great returners coming.
Well, talking about, you mentioned the fact of not having that time to prepare, or at least not the time that you're used to having to prepare, to say the least. And I know I talked with Coach Price about that as well, but you guys had so many just old-fashioned volleyball injuries to start the year. It was basically halfway through the season before you guys were able to put out that starting 6 that you thought you might actually see at the beginning of the year. So how difficult was that in terms of getting those freshmen, even with all the talent that you had with the younger guys on this team? Can you talk about the complexities a little bit on how to put that onto a court and make it translate?
Yeah, it was definitely – obviously injuries do happen, but we weren't expecting that many to happen at the beginning of the season. We were obviously expecting some guys to be out due to COVID, but thankfully that never hit any of our guys. We were all clean. We just had one guy waiting on the wing because his parents got COVID. But with that, our guys, they were able to step up, and especially in our middles, our freshman middles, they were able to use of injuries to their advantage. They were able to get a lot more playing time than we or they probably expected their freshman year. So with that, when we had the return and everyone was healthy, it made a very competitive gym for us and just gives the younger guys the confidence, and they've been on the court now. So this coming year with our people graduating, they're set to take over from square one, which is great to see. So it was, as much as the injuries, we never like to see them, I think it helped us in the long run the way that we played at the end of last year too, because we were playing strong. We could rotate guys in and out and not lose any of our competitive edge. Each guy is just as good as the next / they could be better in certain areas to give us that advantage. So once we got everyone involved and everyone became comfortable with one another, it showed on the court, and we were just having fun, and we were able to collect victories against and play some hard-fought matches too, matches that sometimes we have lost in the past. we had the mental toughness this past year to grind it out and get some of these victories back.
Sure. Well, you mentioned the fun, and I will forever say that, throughout all this year and just seeing all the different teams and stuff, you guys have probably the most fun bench I've ever seen in any match or any sport for that matter. That's for sure. And of course, you could see that energy translate onto the court for the guys that were playing. And you mentioned some youngsters on that team, and you got two setters that were sophomores this year in Leitao and Grabo that both had 350-plus sets apiece. I mean, that's not very often you see that. You got to see the development of Sterling Sims. So I know you guys are all sorts of excited to see how they progress in the next year. And then, of course, like you said, you have other recruits coming in and stuff like that. So, let's talk about your success as a player. Obviously, we will talk more about your coaching prowess here in a moment, but you saw a ton of success on the court, and that started back in your collegiate days when you were at George Mason. You left there in 2009, you're ranking top 4 in blocks, kills, digs, and aces. Can you talk about your college experience and kind of what that meant to you and why you think you thrived so well?
I loved everything about the college experience, the team, George Mason. When I was there, the group of guys that were there before me set the tone, obviously. That's what we always wanted, the senior leadership of the team. And they had it. They knew how to push everyone below them grade-wise to reach that common goal, to strive for it, to battle for it. So those 4 years, the accolades show that I was able to be one of the towards the top of in Mason history, but none of that success goes without the older guys / the other teammates around me making me and pushing me to be the type of player I was able to be. And I'm always thankful for my time at Mason and my head coach, Fred Chow, pushing me and letting me see a little skinny 165-pound kid coming out of high school can do some good things.
Sure. Well, and we talked about kind of, and I will say, just sitting down with your seniors from this year, I got a chance to talk to Nick Cavallero and JP Payne, who is coming back for another year. But, in talking to them, they had that mentality of, okay, what legacy are we going to leave here, and how do we help the younger generation of this team carry it on? So it sounds like, that trickles into your coaching style in terms of, the way you preach things, and of course the way Coach Price also coaches as well.
Yeah, exactly. The senior class this year had a tall tale to set that bar, set that standard, because they are the first class to graduate under men's volleyball here at Queens.
Sure.
So their lasting effect and how they handle things is now sort of set, because they were the pioneers. They were ground zero. So whatever they were saying goes. And thankfully, Jeremy was able to recruit those type of kids that we want, that instill what we want as a program. So it's great to see that they were able to do that. And with some of the seniors still staying on, they're able to preserve that and push it for another year to pass down what we are as Queens volleyball down to the younger classes and hopefully beyond. And it'll just get better and better.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously that's the goal each year in and year out. And you guys definitely have the right core of guys to help progress that. Now, I know after college you went on to play in the overseas for 6 years. You won 3 major Swedish championships, another league championship with Circuit Volley in 2014. Can you talk about that experience? Of course, I'm sure that was far different, especially with learning new cultures and new parts of the world. And, what you learned from that and how you apply that to your own coaching nowadays.
Yeah, from all that playing, one of the things that I've sort of learned that I've taken into coaching is you can't control everything. Like, you can sort of just control yourself and sort of just work with that, the outside, the surrounding circumstances. They always change. Most of the time there's nothing you can do about it, whether going overseas, I don't know the language. I have to find that way to communicate somehow else. Thankfully, the countries that I played in, a lot of them love to speak English or would rather work on their English than speak their language to me. So that made things easier, obviously. But yeah, it's just, you also can't take playing for granted. It can happen sometimes just in a matter of one rally. Your career / season could be over. So we gotta just take it one point at a time and just have fun with it. As you saw with our bench, this year they had their fun, which sometimes got a little much, but knew how to rein it in at the right times and whatnot. So we didn't have to police them too much. We sort of gave them that free rein, and it was great to see all the guys happy for one another to get in, get a kill, have their time out on the court. But yeah, I wouldn't trade my time overseas for anything. I wish I was able to play longer, but sometimes the age gets to you sometimes.
Hey, there's other ways to share your gifts, right? As opposed to just playing yourself. So I get that. And I'm going to tell you, I've seen you guys practice. I mean, you get in there and still hammer some shots at these guys. So I'm just saying, you still got it. You still got it.
Yeah, I'm still able to play with them, thankfully.
I like that.
Throughout the season, and still play on weekends and play in the VLA, which is a professional league here
in
America. So I'm still able to get the reps and show a 34-year-old can still hang with some 20-year-olds and college kids. So.
Hey, listen, I'm a 34-year-old as well, but I can promise you I cannot get out there and hang with our baseball team, which was what my sport was of choice. So more power to you, my friend. Absolutely. Let's look at your coaching career. And I know you got your start right down the road here at Limestone. The team, obviously, you guys beat in the semifinals to go on in. And Limestone, a program that's been around for a little bit, especially with the teams that you guys play right now in the IVA. Can you talk about that? Because you were with both the men's and women's teams, correct?
Yes, I was the assistant coach of both of them.
Okay, and obviously the games can be very different at times for sure, but what did you pick up from both sides of that coin in terms of heading on now that you're just exclusively on the men's side of things?
It's sort of what I took from it is just the grind of a season, because with both men's and women's, they're at their separate times, but I'm basically coaching year round, just with when the girls are in season, guys still need to practice as well. So some days, or most days, are extremely long, and weekends there's always going to be games or recruiting events to go to summer. So it's just really just the drive and the work that is needed to make a team succeed, I think, is sort of what I was able to get being with both programs at Limestone and coaching under Brandon Squares, who I knew from club days was willing to give me my first shot coaching out of playing without really knowing, obviously, college coaching and what it entailed. He believed in me to let me be his assistant right after playing. So I'm always grateful for that opportunity.
Well, you went from there to Georgia Southern, and of course now Queens, and it's always interesting to hear from coaches, especially coaches that had success playing the sport. What that switch over to coach mode was like, and kind of what your style and approach to coaching is. I mean, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's going from the player to the coach aspect right away. It gave me I think a few more of my gray hairs that I have on my body, because there's the stress and whatnot on the court, but when I'm on that court, I'm able to manage that. I'm sort of able to use one of those contacts on the court to help my team. Coaching wise, I'm just on that sideline, hoping that the things that we did the week prior in practice or our scouting and our film paying off, because
Sure.
we're not able to be out there as much as I would like to be.
Yeah.
Just suit up be like, yeah, I got it. Here you go.
I was going to say,
So I think
I'm sure you
coaching-wise gives me a little bit more nerves, I'd say.
Well, and that's the thing, and I know Coach Price has talked about that on interviews I've done with him, and just there's only so much you can do as a coach and only so much you can say, and you just hope like heck that your players can go out there and convert what you have taught them, obviously, into success. And from what we have seen here, I realize still a relatively new program, but I mean, just the leaps and bounds that this program has made. And now, you've almost, I would say not almost, you have established a winning culture now. And now it's time to continue that on and, start bringing home some hardware and stuff like that. So
exactly.
What ultimately brought you to Queens? How'd you get involved with Coach Price and how did you wind up here at Queens?
I've known Coach Price since my playing days at Mason. He was a coach at one of our other conference schools, Juniata.
Okay.
He's known me and obviously has had to try and scout against me.
Sure.
And then when time came at Georgia Southern to sort of move on, it was after the first year here, and Jeremy reached out to then my head coach at Georgia Southern to see if I'd be interested in coming to Queens because they were able to get the full-time position for men's volleyball now. So he reached out, and I was at that right stage in my career that I was wanting to move back to the men's side and a nice, obviously bigger city of Charlotte. It's a great recruiting tool, and it's easy to bring recruits out here just with business and banking. And that's one of our number one ways to get recruits is just what we're able to offer. And I couldn't miss by coming here, and I haven't looked back and I haven't regretted that decision since it took me a while to say yes to Coach Price, but once I did and have been on campus, I don't see what took me so long sometimes.
Hey, it might have taken you a while, but at least you're here and you guys are rocking and rolling. So you mentioned the recruiting side of things, and of course, yes, Charlotte is such a great sell, but, can you talk a little bit about the recruiting? Because I know, folks that are familiar more with the women's volleyball side of things, of course, there's a lot more of varsity volleyball out there at the high school level and not just club, whereas with the men's side, there's a little bit fewer of the varsity level, and I have to imagine a lot of it comes from clubs. So, how is it that you guys, because your team is from everywhere. I was joking with Coach Price. I said, I don't know what it is about the Carolinas, but you guys only have one kid from the Carolinas on this team. So, how do you get involved with all that? And, how do you stay on top of something like that?
It's just a lot of it's from our players is word of mouth going back to their clubs. And like when they have buddies there that are juniors, word of mouth, they're having a great time. Our team is great. So sometimes they send us emails. That's where our one right side from Colorado came from.
Okay.
He was teammates with Fletcher Murphy.
Gotcha.
So that's how we sort of got onto recruiting him. But a lot of it's just summers or I guess sort of more winter and then summer are the tournaments that we go recruit at. Some are hard, obviously, for us because we're in season when some of the tournaments are happening. So we're not able to make all of them, but usually summertime is when me and Coach Price are out on the recruiting trail. As next week, I'm going to Kansas City for the end of the year tournament, boys junior nationals for 5 days. Wow. So way to see if there's any leftover 21s that could need a home that could fit. And then just start putting names to faces for future years just so we can keep the Queens name and Royals volleyball going strong.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, obviously the play on the court will most certainly help that as well, as you guys continue to, hit new strides every single season. And I know I'm excited to be a part of a full season with you guys here this year for the first time. That's for sure. Cause I loved being a part of the half of the season that I was able to be a part of this
Yes.
time around. But at the same time, I'm excited to see it from start to finish in terms of you guys getting that time to have in the fall to get to know one another, really start working out and stuff like that. So, before you leave us, is there anything that you would say, or I guess just kind of looking ahead to next year, what are you excited about and what's something we should be looking forward to?
I'm just excited to have a fall season again, finally with our guys. I think that will boost us a lot going into the season. We're going to have the 3 months of training to get everyone accustomed and get our foot going fast, because we have a solid schedule coming up, playing a couple of top 15 teams. We're going to be Hawaii again, the
All right.
champion, Stanford, who just got their program back after potentially not having it, going up to see Harvard, playing St. Francis again, going to my alma mater, George Mason.
Nice.
Play at them. So we have some tough matches coming up, but I think having that extra time to prepare the guys and get everyone on the same page is just going to make our season go, I think, even better than it was last year. We have obviously the IBA championships.
Yep.
We're hosting them again here in Levine Center. So that's good for us. We're able to keep that home court advantage.
Absolutely.
Able to have some more fans in the stands this coming year.
Yep.
But I think we're poised to make a run / become one of the better or top teams down in our region, Conference Carolinas or IVAs together.
Sure.
I think we should be one of the strongest coming next year, if not year 2 or 3.
Well, you got so much talent returning, and of course you got more talent coming in with this recruiting class as well. So trust me, we are excited as well. Love doing the IVA championships. That was a ton of fun, and like I said, I'm happy to see that as the culmination of what will be a fun season. Like you said, with all of that stuff, not only are you playing really good teams and getting a lot of good experience on the court, but I feel like you're getting just as much valuable experience off the court bonding as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And we'll be able to do a little bit more things off the court as well now. Obviously still staying COVID safe and complying, because we don't need that to
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I think some of that off the court dinners and meals the guys have together speaks volumes. That's what draws teams closer together. Yeah, playing on the court, that keeps you close, but you guys go your separate ways 22 hours out of the day. So it's what you do outside of the court time really makes the team, I think.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking some time and talking with us. Best of luck. I know, like you said, you got a busy week coming up next week and on in through the rest of this summer. Hopefully get a little R&R time to recharge for the fall.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate it very much. I enjoyed my time here. Absolutely.
My pleasure. Well, we'll make sure we keep in contact with you and, of course, have you on again before the start of the season itself. But have a great rest of your summer. Well, that's going to do it for another Get to Know the Royals. We of course, appreciate Coach Gramit for joining us here this morning, and we will see you next time right back here every single Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. on our YouTube channel for the Queen Sports Network. As always, I'm Mike Lennon, and go Royals.